Tamara here from The Profitable Good and the Sustainability Lens. So I'm here to talk a little bit more about our newest book, The Profitable Good. We had left off talking a little bit about the business model canvas and what that means, okay, and how we can use a business model canvas to model our business. Okay, looking at the different parts of it, from the right side connections, left side logistics, to the financial foundations. So this book comes with all types of exercises. If you don't have a business, we actually have one made for you with a lemonade stand. We also have many other business ideas and prompts for you online with our online materials. But let's say you go ahead and you make your business plan, because here we have different types of projects for you to work on. So, and one project that we have is complete a business model canvas for an enterprise that you know. Okay, so the book gives you homework, gives you step-by-step instructions, ways to go ahead and do things. So we're not just reading about how we can create a profitable good, we're actually doing it. Okay, so let's say you did your exercise, you completed that business model canvas. Okay, what we're going to start doing now is seeing how do we build that out into something more. So something I had introduced before was this idea of the triple bottom line, right? Or people, planet, profit. And at the same time, we have purpose, is this ecosystem that covers all three principles and gives them a place to be. Because we're being purposeful in what we're doing. We're choosing how we're going to be impacting people, what is going to be our environmental impact, how are we including and engaging with community. There's a couple of other terms I wanted to introduce to you. One is the idea of fair trade. Right? A lot of people are very familiar with fair trade. It's the idea of making sure that producers are paid a fair wage, that products are made in a culturally sensitive way, and that there's transparency in the supply chain. Okay? A lot of times we'll see fair trade with agricultural products. We'll see them with handicraft products. And something that this book introduces is this idea of 4 pillars of fair trade. Because I spent 30 years owning a fair trade company, researching my fair trade company, and also publishing books and papers and conference presentations about my doctoral thesis, which was Is Fair Trade Fair? And one of the big things that we looked at was how I was working with the Indigenous women knitters. That was my company that I had. And they would always ask, is comercio justo? In a sarcastic way, like it was a joke, is fair trade fair? So that became the topic of my thesis. That became 20 years of work as I started to dig into this idea of how could fair trade not be fair? And what I discovered is that fair trade isn't just one thing on its own, right? There's actually many other things behind it. And that's where I came up with the 4 pillars of fair trade. So with this, we're looking at this idea of fair trade. There's the institution, right? There's an institution that's saying this is fair trade and this is how it works. There's the consumers that are supporting that institution. Yes, I believe you. I believe in your cause and what you're trying to do. I'm going to engage in this and purchase these products, right? There's the producers who are also buying in and agreeing to produce their products in the transparent way that the institutions are requiring. Because fair trade has guidelines, and to be a fair trade organization or a fair trade product, you have to follow the institution's guidelines. And then all of this happens in the context of a government, because this fair trade is happening in countries all over the world. And there's different government regulations and government supports or not that'll help make this fair trade more accessible or less. So when we think about that, we think about fair trade as not just a label on a product, right? It's this cooperation between these 4 different entities, okay, that help us create this mindset and this buy-in, because it's all voluntary, right? Where is the value for each of us? What are going to be the costs of participation in this idea of fair trade? Okay, so when we're thinking about that, as whether we choose to have a fair trade certificate on our products or not, we want to be thinking that we're working in the context of a community, the context of consumers, the context of governments where we are that set different regulations, okay, and the impact of institutions. So that's where I'm going to leave it today. Take a think about that. And when we come back next time, we're going to look at the sustainability lens. And what is that all about? See you later.